Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Diane Hayden, publisher of Natural Nutmeg magazine, and welcome to our weekly podcast where I interview our expert contributors on topics ranging from natural medicine, nutrition, fitness, green living, spirituality, and how to lead a more holistic lifestyle. I'm excited to have with me today Kahseim Outlaw and Susan Strickland, who are both from the Graduate Institute right here in Connecticut. They are master's program coordinators. They both have master's degrees from the Integrative Health and Healing program at the Graduate Institute, and they are also program coordinators of the Integrative
Mm.
Health and Healing program. So that is a great honor for me to have you guys on today, and we're going to be talking about an exciting new project that you have. But first off, welcome you both to the show. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you very much for having us, Diane. It's really an honor to be here as well.
Thank you, Diane.
Awesome, awesome. So many people who are watching this are probably familiar with the Graduate Institute, but for those who aren't, I wanted to just talk a little quickly about that, and then we'll get right into the new project that you guys are doing, which is exciting.
Mm.
But I just love the school. I mean, I've been working with them for years from an advertising perspective and contributing to the magazine. And I think it's a great, it speaks for itself that both of you went through the Integrative Health and Healing graduate program there, and now you are program coordinators. That says a lot for the program and, your desire and passion for still, being involved with that. So just briefly, anything either of you guys want to say about TGI and your
Yeah, sure.
experience in that?
Yeah, as a graduate and as a current program coordinator, I have nothing but good things to say about the Institute itself, which is the premier institute in the Northeast for holistic studies, everything from personal transformation, consciousness studies, and obviously integrative health and healing, which just brings a whole variety of different topics and healing modalities to the forefront of consciousness that a lot of people aren't really aware of. You know, when you go through life and you kind of get on that hamster wheel or that treadmill, a lot of times these very powerful and transformative healing methods and techniques aren't really made available. So you got to do a little bit of digging. But at the Graduate Institute, it's all there. They're bringing the health practitioners and the professionals in the field right in front of a very small and intimate audience. So you can have a 2-year period where you're well connected to these guys. And it was a great experience for me. And I'm on the other side of it now where I get to kind of hold the hand of and walk the walk with a very wonderful group of teachers and healthcare workers to see that same passion and love of learning happen.
That's awesome.
Well
Great.
said.
I was going to say, Susan, you want to add anything, or he pretty
Yeah,
much encapsulated everything?
yeah, I tried to. I tried to. A really joyful ride for myself, and I think I can speak for Susan in saying that we look forward to every single weekend. You know, it's one weekend a month. Sometimes it's two, but it feels like a retreat. It feels like a homecoming every time we get together and just watch people really absorb some of this very valuable info, and it's just inspirational. And we all know that inspiration is the real juice of life, to feel inspired, live in spirit, and then go out in the world and do some wonderful things. So I'm just very happy to be a part of the team there.
Yeah, I think it is just so needed right now. I mean, just with everything that's going on in the world, I think a place where people can not only further their own self-development, personal development, get more in touch with their passions and what they really want to do, what I
Mm.
believe, they may have been sent here to do, but also just to
Mhm.
be in community with other like-minded people, all learning about, these topics and principles at the same time. And I think that's what many people are missing. Like they're finding that, social media just isn't doing it for you anymore.
Mm.
I mean,
No.
unfortunately, a lot of social media has become a place of more just like hate and anger and whatever. At least that's what I'm seeing, sadly. But where it used to be a good place of community. So I think more people are looking for something like that. And TGI certainly provides it for sure on a number of levels.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm excited about why we're here today, which is to talk about this new project that the two of you have. And so and you've come together actually, with similar passions and inspiration to, to put this program together. And we'll talk about, you've already launched one, and now the second one is coming up in March. But you are doing a virtual oncology wellness retreat from March 26th to the 28th, and it'll be similar to this, basically a Zoom interface where, and I'm going to let you speak more about it, but just, as a quick explanation, it's basically going to be a virtual retreat for anyone who may be, dealing with cancer treatment right now, recently diagnosed, going through treatment, survivors of cancer, and also caregivers to
Mhm.
come together and, learn, and again, be in community with a number of different experts who are going to be talking about all different perspectives on holistically treating cancer, and also for caregiver techniques and things like that. Um, and I think it's awesome because, like, like I just said, I think people are really looking for not only this kind of information, but just the opportunities to be in community with like-minded people who are going through the same struggles that they are. So I will give you guys the floor and let you talk a little bit more. I mean, my first question would be, where did you get the idea and what got you passionate about starting something like that? And then, certainly tell us more about the direction you're going in.
Yeah. Susan, you want to grab the steering wheel on that one?
Well, was it last year or the year before, actually 2019, Dr. Witten of Adonai Optimal Health Center in Madison, she is a naturopath that practices oncology or specializes in oncology. And, I went to her, she was my doctor a couple of years ago, and she is the one who said, come on, Susan, we're going to go do this retreat at Mercy by the Sea. And so I grabbed my friend Kahseim, and he helped to lead the retreat, and it was amazing. We did a lot of different healing modalities, and including nutrition, medicinal herbs, meditation, journaling. And then we had a lot of incredible presenters that came in and kind of shared their expertise to help with mind-body medicine for our cancer patients that participated at the retreat with us. Dr. Bernie Siegel, Dr. Henry Grayson, who else came? Who
Pat
else
Bolger to do Tai Chi with us.
Yep. She came in and did some energy medicine and Qigong.
Qigong, yeah.
Yeah. And it was just such a profound experience to kind of gather this group together and have this experience with them. And it was so fulfilling because we saw how much this level of support was helping, these people that were, going through these cancer treatments and, what the mind can do, and, just kind of teaching them what their options are for better health and to navigate this journey easier and feel more connected with other people.
Yeah, I'm glad you said, I was just going to say, I'm glad you said what the mind can do, because I think that you've got some really amazing speakers lined up for this program, many of who focus on, essentially how your belief system affects whether or not you get disease, or how you basically can heal yourself, essentially.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we've got the master, we've got the guy when we talk about belief and how it could be a transformative part of your healing process, and Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's going to be there talking about exosomes and how that level of cellular activity and how we create the environment around that can have a direct effect on the healing process. So there's going to be some mind-blowing information that's coming out, and really some things to process for people that otherwise wouldn't even think about it. One of the things I was going to mention before about our previous, in-person retreat that we led was one of the statements that was made at the end of that really stuck with both Susan and I, and kind of gave us the inspiration to keep moving forward with this. And we had one of our participants say, "I finally got my power back." And when we heard that, it was like, wow, we created an environment here that was empowering on so many levels that someone can now leave this event, go out into the world and into their life and really feel like they can make some positive changes. You know, I've never dealt with a cancer diagnosis, but I have many people in my family that were diagnosed with cancer and have since passed. You know, my a grandmother on one side, a grandfather on the other side, a father-in-law, a best friend, and you can go down the list. And I think when we talk to pretty much anybody, you can just pick somebody up crowd and say, hey, how many people in your life have been affected by cancer? And you're going to see a lot of hands go up.
Oh, everybody knows somebody. Either you
Yeah.
have yourself or you know somebody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is how alienating that can feel on a personal level, but also, you know, on an interpersonal level where you feel like you can't relate to anybody else. You feel like you're all alone struggling with this health challenge. So by offering these retreats, whether in person or virtual as we're now doing, we're really trying to let people know that there's a community that's there to support them. There's education that's invaluable to their healing process, and that they can reclaim their power. It's not, you know, this diagnosis is not a death sentence, and it doesn't mean that you have to go down into a, you know, a depressive state and kind of, you know, fall apart from it. We're here to uplift you.
Well, I love that you said that because
Mm,
I do believe that um, words have a lot of power. Words we
mm,
say to ourselves and words that other people say to us. And you both know that Dr. Bernie Siegel, who's also one of your presenters, would
mm,
tell you matter of factly that, you know, he may have even scientific research proof that shows what happens when someone is given a diagnosis, whether it be cancer or any
mhm,
other kind of illness, really, and how they internalize that. And the people that really internalize it and believe that they're going to die usually are the people that die. And the people who
mm,
don't internalize that and basically say, you know, that's okay. Yes, you're the doctor. You're giving me that diagnosis, but you're not God, and you're not me and my soul, and I'm not going to accept that. I don't have the percentage, but it is a pretty huge percentage of people with that belief that survive and do really well in terms of treatment.
yeah, I think, well, first he'd say, call me Bernie, right? That's what he would tell
Yep.
you. But
Not Dr. Siegel.
yeah, I
Mhm.
know. And I think he would make the statement that a lot of doctors are, you know, effectively killing their patients by the way that they talk to them and the way that they present this information. You know, he talks about moving the desk out of the way so that there's no barrier between he and his patients, speaking to them on a first name basis and talking to them in a way that uplifts them instead of detracts from their hope and their faith and their power to heal. And, you know, over the course of his career, he's seen so many different, you know, we might call them miraculous events in terms of healing, but it's really just a very careful and conscious approach to the healing process.
Hmm.
So we're so honored to have him on board with us here, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, so you have Dr. Bernie Siegel, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and then who are your other presenters?
Dr. Amory Chason, who is the director of fellowship at the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine, University of Arizona. Joan Palmer, who is the founder of Institute of Sustainable Nutrition in Granby. She's going to be teaching on the nutrition for the immune system and the microbiome, which is huge.
Hmm.
You know,
Mm,
nutrition is absolutely you know, one of the main pillars of healing with anything, as
mm.
you know. And Allison Iannicelli, who's going to do some energy medicine yoga. And of course, you who are going to be teaching the Spark method. Do you want to talk a little bit about, you know, what your method will be?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yes, I'm excited to be one of the presenters as well. Honored that you guys would think of me and invite me to speak. Speaking is one of my passions and favorite thing to do. And from what I just said earlier, you probably have gathered that I place a lot of emphasis on belief system and, you know, what
Mm,
you tell yourself and words and that kind of thing. So my talk is based on a philosophy that I have, and I've you know, coined the acronym the Spark method, because I've looked at over the years, Spark actually stands for, each letter stands for a word, and I'll explain that in a second. But over the years, I've just researched and studied, successful people. And what I mean by successful is not just someone who's been successful in a career. It's also, how have you been successful in life, whether it's been healing from a disease or, healing a relationship, or it could be something related to job or career, certainly. But I'm more interested in working with people from the perspective of either turning a negative situation around to a positive, or basically just, in their life, how have they been able to create their ideal lifestyle. So I came up with this basically because, one, I think, I love the word spark. I mean, for me, that word means like in, getting the fire within you to it starts with a spark, right? And then you can basically do anything. And so I've always just had an affinity for that word. And when I started breaking it down and looking at, well, what are the things that I also think are necessary? Characteristics do I see in people that have this spark, so to speak, that can basically turn things around or create something out of nothing and go to great heights. So the letters stand for, S is self-awareness. And basically, it's being aware of, obviously self and body, being connected to your body, being aware of, when you are not acting in your, as your highest self, essentially, and having awareness about that and being able to work on that, knowing when you're triggered by things. So that's S. P is passion. So the people who I've seen have made the greatest accomplishments are the ones who are really passionate about what they're doing. They're not just working a job, or they're not just, in a relationship because they were supposed to, get out of college, get married, have kids, that kind of thing. It's people that actually have true passion for what they're doing. Action, you got to take action and do something, like I love The Secret, but basically I feel like The Secret told people that they could just sit back and think about it and it's going to happen. I don't believe that. I believe you have to be passionate about something and actually take action and do it. R is for resilience. So that for me is basically just not giving up. Again, like there's so many people, when you think about really successful people, that the only way they got there was because they didn't give up. Like Michael Jordan, how many times did he not make a team? Same with Tom Brady. He was picked like 100 and something in draft, and look at him today. Go back to Abraham Lincoln. How many times did he lose elections? I mean, there's so many people and when you really come down and look at, well, what was it that they did that made them successful? I think a lot of it just came down to they just didn't give up. They were just resilient. And I think that's true in health too, with a lot of people who beat their, diagnosis. It's because they just didn't give up. And then K stands for kindness. And I think that's also just about, being kind to yourself, others, respecting your body and loving yourself enough to understand that your body really has everything it needs to heal itself.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, the human body and the human spirit is actually, the human body is resilient. The human spirit is indestructible in my mind. And if we do the right things, then the right things will happen. So if we have that passion that you're talking about and that self-awareness, and then we just don't give up, and we surround ourselves with people who are holding our best intention as well, then we're supported in this life to do some great things. And a great thing might be raising a family. A great thing might be starting a business. A great thing might be sitting in meditation in a mountain somewhere and not bothering anybody. That might be the bar for a lot of people. But whatever we feel passionate about, if we can just go forth with inspiration and kind of include everyone else around us as a part of ourselves, I think that's the recipe for health and wellness.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's just talk a little bit about, we briefly touched on who the target market was, like who do you envision attending this, and what are some things some takeaways that you think people will have?
Susan?
Crickets. What are some takeaways? I think that, well, first of all, it's like we said earlier, people going through cancer treatments, people who just got the diagnosis, caregivers, maybe the caregivers are there so they can hear and listen and be an extra pair of ears for their loved ones that they're caring for. It could be for, healthcare workers that are, working with cancer patients. But it's going to be mind, body, medicine, the mental connection, how important that is, the perspective, whatever your mind's perspective is on the illness. Cancer has such a negative, charge to it, but it doesn't have to have that, that charge that you feel when you do get the diagnosis. Because if you get a sense that you have control over, your nutrition and your mindset and your attitude, and your awareness about all these things that add to your mental, physical, spiritual health, you'd realize that you're okay, you're going to be okay, or that you are okay. And I think that for this retreat, Kahseim and I, and you, Diane, and Dr. Bruce Lipton, and Bernie, and Dr. Chason, and Joan Palmer, and Allison Ionaselli, all these people are there to kind of, communicate a sense of community, a sense of well-being, a sense of, empowering, things that are empowering for people, and they're not alone. And that if they make right, choices, especially like with nutrition and the mindset, that they will be okay, that they do have the power to heal. They have the power to take control over this. A little example is, my dog got sick with, lupus, an autoimmune disease, about a year ago. And instead of going from doctor to doctor to doctor, I said, you know what, I'm going to feed her really healthy food. I'm going to make sure she exercises. I'm going to make sure she's, is happy. And I'm watching her attitude. I'm watching her mood. I'm watching her nutrition and her supplements. And then I'm just gonna let go. I'm going to let go. And she's doing really well now. And I hope you don't think I'm crazy because I'm talking about the dog, but
no, I think that's a great example.
I realize how much that affects, me, how much that affects, the human being, how much, just the mindset has to do with whether we heal,
It's so
and
funny
how well we heal.
It's so funny you said that and brought that subject up, because I just happened to be working with a holistic veterinarian down here in Naples. She's going to start writing for our magazine down here, and her whole platform is basically, she looks at the pet's nutrition, she looks at the pet's lifestyle, she looks at the energy between the owner and the pet. Is there excessive stress there? Like how do the pet and the owner interact? And then she looks at the owner's stress level. And all of that comes into play with her treatment plan for an animal. And so, I think it's great that you use that example, because when you think about it, probably an animal, this is going to sound funny, but I feel like almost an animal is better equipped at healing itself than a person is sometimes, because the animal doesn't have, like the mind that we have that's going a million miles. And, yes, an animal can be stressed out, but not from the same perspective as we are. We all almost do more detriment to ourselves sometimes, I think, with the things we say to ourselves and, what we do and that kind of stuff. So the animal, as long as you provide the animal with a really healthy environment, and there's, as little stress as possible, I feel like, that's a great example to look at, because that shows you right there that the innate intelligence within the animal will heal itself. It didn't need surgery. It didn't need, a medication or a drug.
Yeah. animals do a very good job of letting go of traumas. As humans with this very complex mind, we have a very difficult time doing that. And, we've got memory and we've got imagination on our side, two things that are largely lost in the animal kingdom. And those are great superpowers. But when we use those to hold on to some things that cause dissonance with ourselves, and we use the term stress and how that has a really profound effect on our capability to heal. If we can do the same thing that you're saying, is set an environment and an intention and kind of wrap people in a cocoon of love and support and
Mhm.
care, and also the knowledge to do the right things, as I mentioned before, I think we'd see a drastic increase in people's ability to heal, just getting them out of the mindset that I'm a victim, this is happening to me for external purposes. If we can get them to look within through meditation, through consciousness studies, and kind of look into their belief systems and how that's playing a part on the physical level. If we can kind of take some of that apart and cause some flexibility to happen, I think, yeah, people can have some remarkable healing events. And we've seen it. We've seen it in literature. We've seen it on news reports. We've seen it. We call it a miracle. But in
Mhm.
my mind, I think it's just the right things done. And then you see these outcomes.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree for sure.
Yeah.
And, while we understand that sometimes, surgery and medication can't be avoided,
Hmm.
those are tools of the modern age that we have and will use them, when you absolutely have to, for sure. I
Mm.
think, unfortunately, we don't, most of us don't look towards trying to do natural things first. It's like the jump, traditional medicine is, well, let's just automatically jump to surgery or drugs or whatever, when
Yeah.
many times it's simply just a change of lifestyle or nutrition or
Mm.
taking supplements or stress reduction, like so many things that we can do
Mm.
that basically cost nothing but our
Yeah.
time, and our energy and intent for that. And that can have huge, amazing outcomes for sure.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed is that, we treat cancer like it's an acute disease when in actuality it really, I mean, there's a small number of genetic, cancers that affect people on a large basis, but for the most part, it's a lifestyle disease that's been developing for a long time. And by the time that symptom hits, we're treating it with allopathic medicine in an acute sense, when
Sure.
essentially we have to go and remap. We have to look at the genome and kind of remap and say, all right, well, when did this lifestyle situation start? When did the stress start? When did, this belief start that is hampering your body's innate ability to maintain itself and cure itself? So if we can look at a bunch of different aspects of this, sometimes it feels like it's too late. And then, yeah, surgery has to happen, or, some medical intervention needs to be done just to stop the damage, and maybe then add in some of these alternative methods. But if we can get people this information earlier in life, I'm also a public high school teacher. I teach health and physical education. And I just had this conversation today about how there's things that I know now that I wish I knew when I was much younger. And I think all of us can kind of relate to that. But my sole intention for the students that I serve and the children that I'm in front of on a daily basis is to give them what I know, so that way they can avoid some of the traps and the pitfalls that many of their parents, aunts and uncles, grandparents might be seeing. And if you ask them, what adults in your life can you look at and say, I want to have that level of health, I want to have that level of enthusiasm? How many people have at least one person? Some of them are like, oh, I don't know, maybe my uncle over there who's doing this, that, and the third, but it's usually not mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, because they're caught up in that kind of ethos that, death is obviously inevitable and sooner than later. And, this happens to everybody. So if we can kind of reset the format there at a younger age, I think we'll be in better shape.
I love that. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, I mean, my graduate study, my dissertation was looking at the effects of glucose and insulin after a resistance strength training program with people who were in their 80s.
Mm,
So luckily, I learned, 20 years ago that even someone who is 85 can start a strength training program and can not only improve their blood sugar, but also they can build muscle, they can build bone density,
mm,
they can completely change their metabolism. There's just so many things. I was like, wow, blown away. Like, there shouldn't be any such thing as, well, it's a result of aging, because it's not.
no,
Mm-mm.
no, no. It's kind of a result of aging unconsciously,
Yeah.
I would say. It's a combination of the two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Uh,
That is true. Awesome. Well, did we cover everything? Was there anything else either of you wanted to say about the virtual retreat in
Yeah,
March?
there's one more thing I'd like to add. I mean, we put a very important word into this offering, and that's retreat. In today's day and age, you can jump on Facebook, you can be part of an email list that'll bring you to a summit, a webinar, a workshop, and that's not something that we're trying to present here. We're trying to kind of put together an environment, even though it's virtual, where people feel connected and they feel like they're part of a group that's supporting them in their healing process. So this is going to be a live event. We're going to have Q&A. We're going to have, make available to people these professionals, these healers on a personal basis, as close as we can through the screen, to where they can feel like they're really supported in their efforts. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that this is going to be a little bit of a different offering than what most people have been used to in the Zoom age.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, because you're right. Like there are so many different, summits you can sign up for or whatever. And, half
Mhm.
the time you don't even, you don't even get to watching it. Like it's on your list of something to do. So I love the fact that this has such a community feel to it. It's almost as good as being live all together in the same
Yeah.
room, but
Mhm.
it's great that people will have an opportunity to ask questions of the presenters and interact with each other, and so I love that
Mhm.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how do people learn more?
Well, they can go to knowledgeempowerswellness.com, and they can learn more about the different presenters and when and where. We're going to be zooming live from the Smith Farm Gardens in East Haddam, which is a beautiful mansion out in East Haddam. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And Kasim and I will be there together, zooming live, and people will get to see a beautiful backdrop with fireplaces and marble kitchen, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Nice. I want to be there.
Yeah, come on through. We'll
It's
be
gorgeous.
meditating and making teas and juices and really trying to
Yep.
make people feel like they're at home with us there.
Mhm.
There's going to be a lot of people who are really struggling with some health issues related to cancer or otherwise, and we just want them to feel like they're in a safe space where they're supported, they're loved, and we've got this, wonderful team bringing an education to them.
Yep. One other thing that just like popped into my head as you were just speaking that
Mm,
I wanted to quickly say is I think a lot of times I'm going to put this in my talk because this is really coming to me as something important that people need to hear. But I
mm,
feel like, we need to get away from looking at cancer as such a negative thing,
Mhm.
because there are many people who have gone through cancer that have gone and done amazing things because of their cancer diagnosis that probably would never have happened.
mhm,
So, nobody wishes cancer on anyone. Nobody wants to, get cancer or anything like that. But I think that's the way my mind works in terms of always trying to shift a perspective. It's okay, this happened. Instead of internalizing it and making it negative and hating cancer, which basically means you're hating yourself right now because you have it,
mhm,
how can you think, how can you take this situation that has happened to you for a reason? I believe things happen for a reason. And what can you do with it?
mm,
What possibility is out there that you could change the world or create something amazing for other people
mm.
because of what happened to you?
Yeah, in the words of Dr. Anne-Marie Chiasson, there's one question that you want to ask yourself when something like this happens and say, what's right about this? What is right about this? And that's your goal as a detective, to kind of dig into that and say, it's easy to find the negative. It's easy to find on that surface value, that something's going wrong and woe is me. And there's a place for that. There's a place for the grieving process, and to really
Mhm.
look at things analytically and say, man, why is this happening? But again, Diane, if you shift your perspective and be like, what is it about this that I can take hold of and transform my life in a better way, puts you in a much more empowered position.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So the website is www.knowledgeempowerswellness. That's
Mm-hmm.
empowers with an S, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
Knowledgeempowerswellness.com.
Yeah.
And people can get all the information about the retreat. It's going to be March 26th through the 28th.
Yes.
And they can reach out to you via the website. Your emails are on there and everything.
Mhm.
Yes.
They have the Eventbrite link there. The schedule's on there. We're going to be doing a Friday afternoon, evening, Saturday during the day, and then a Sunday during the day. So we've got it, carefully curated so that it's, giving respect and time to people who need time away from the screen. But also
Mhm.
when we sit down, it's going to be all business and with a smile on our face, of course.
Right. Well, that's awesome. If you haven't figured out, I'm super excited. I
Yeah.
love presenting, and I'm excited to see the other presenters and just be with everybody that weekend. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I so appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I mean, it's very clear that you're passionate about this, and it's just amazing that you're offering something like this for a lot of people who are definitely in need of it.
Yeah. Well,
So
thank you,
thank you to
Diane.
both of you.
Thank you for having us on this platform and helping us spread the message.
Awesome. Awesome. So this will live on our website, naturalnutmeg.com, and it gets e-blasted out to all of our readers and listeners. And thank you guys again. And hopefully we will see everybody March 26th to the 28th. Thanks so
Yes.
much for listening. And thank you, Kahseim and Susan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
Take care,
you.
everybody. Blessings.